Weight gain, hair loss, rashes, allergies, frozen shoulder, also known as 50-year-old woman's shoulder, food sensitivities, IBS, burning in the mouth, tingling in the extremities, feeling like your muscles are on pins and needles, anxiety, depression. What in God's name do all of these things have in common? Menopause. Let's discuss. Hi everybody, welcome to Free Range Diva. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my experience, my recent experience with some symptoms, discomforts that literally made no sense. But when I actually got to the root cause, it turned out they were all about menopause. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about some of the more uncommon symptoms of menopause and how you can figure out how these things are all connected. I mean, we're all familiar with the usual, the more common symptoms, the low libido, vaginal dryness, hot flashes, what am I forgetting? Brain fog, mood swings. The interaction between our hormones and our endocrine system is very complex. So when those hormones get thrown out of balance because the ovaries stop making estrogen, it can cause kind of a cascading effect, affecting things that you wouldn't necessarily think menopause. So today I'm telling my story in the hopes that it might help you connect the dots, make a connection that will lead you to the root cause of any discomforts that you may be having. So we'll start off by clarifying what is menopause. Menopause is a transition period during which the body stops making estrogen at levels that will support fertility. This can happen over a period of years. It can be very subtle. It usually starts with a tapering off of your cycle as well as the flow of your cycle until finally the cycle and the flow of your period just stops. At least that's what happened with me. It happened slowly over a period of 2, maybe 3 years before I finally hit that point where everything stopped. And once your period stops, it has to stay stopped, not start again for 1 year. So you have to go at least 1 year of no period activity at all. And then you are officially post-menopause. You've gone through menopause, you've gone through the change, and now you've got the rest of your life living with way less hormones than you used to. The first few years, once I was officially over menopause, it was a struggle. Ideally, the body is supposed to adjust to this new hormone status and everything kind of calms down so you don't have as many discomforts as you would during the menopausal period. But that didn't happen for me. Those first few years I had hot flashes that were awful every hour on the hour. Sometimes they would be warm, sometimes they would be hot. I might wake up in the middle of the night soaking wet. That was my primary discomfort for the first few years. And I often would go to the doctor and I would ask, how long is this supposed to last? When am I supposed to get past this? And there was never an answer. Estrogen does other things besides keeping you fertile. It plays a role in joint health. It's protective. It keeps those juices flowing. It keeps your skin more supple, not as dry. Your skin can dry out, become very, severely dry as a result of lowering estrogen. It lowers histamine levels, which would explain why often women complain about suddenly developing allergies that they never had before in their later years. Same thing with frozen shoulder. Often comes later because, again, joint health. It's also neuroprotective. It keeps your brain healthy. It keeps your heart and your bones healthy. And fluctuating hormones can lead to digestive distress. So it's no wonder that the second half of our life as women, we often find ourselves having these weird symptoms, these weird discomforts that we didn't have before. Rashes, that was one of my issues. The chronic rashes that would not go away. So many different things can go wrong, or the body can kind of go out of whack when you're trying to adjust to those hormones, particularly if you add on any kind of added stress. And this is where I find myself, this is where I find myself. Chronic or acute stress can interfere with the body's ability to make estrogen, and I'll explain that right now. So the body has the ability to continue making estrogen after the ovaries stop. Estrogen is made in the adrenal glands. The adrenals make a lot of hormones, a lot of different hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline, the two hormones that are responsible for your response to stress. But it also makes a hormone that can be converted by the body into estradiol, which is the protective form of estrogen. Problem is, if you're chronically stressed or have a very poor stress response, the adrenals are going to be overwhelmed by doing all the other things that it needs to do, including elevating your cortisol and elevating your adrenaline, that there's not going to be a whole lot left over for hormones that are not as critical, like estrogen. And if that isn't enough, the little bit of estrogen that your body is able to make can be quashed by cortisol. And this is where I found myself. When I actually decided to get serious about figuring out why so many of these little things were going wrong all at the same time, I had to do some inner work to try and figure out what was the cause. Let me go back a bit. So a few years ago, I took a workshop with an herbalist and acupuncturist here on YouTube. Her name is Dana Lavoie, and she talked in this workshop. We learned about how to use foods and superfoods to help your body adjust. As a result of that, I was able to finally get relief from the hot flashes simply by adding 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed to my diet every day. I did a video on this, and I will link it in the cards because it's one of my most popular videos ever, and there's a lot of good information in it, especially if you're just starting out. That may be all you need, because it was all I needed for 3 years. 3 years. With no appreciable symptoms, no discomforts, just feeling like my normal self. I had even gotten to the point where during the last year, before everything kind of went haywire a couple of months ago, I noticed that I was starting to feel cold, because prior to menopause, I was always the coldest person in the room. I tended to run cold. But once hot flashes started, obviously that it's not something that I experienced very often, if at all. But I noted to a friend that, hey, I was starting to feel cold again, which was a good thing. So in addition to flaxseed, you can take things like resveratrol or turmeric to help the body lower inflammation. You can use adaptogens like reishi mushroom to help the body adapt to stress better. Eating an anti-inflammatory diet can help as well, like Whole30 or GAPS diet or FODMAP. These can help give your digestive system a rest, and so that if you are having any kind of food sensitivities that are leading to gastrointestinal discomfort, you can determine what those are as you start to add foods back in. And when it comes to diet, at the very least, you should be removing sugar, processed foods, and simple carbs while incorporating more fruits and vegetables, proteins, and healthy fats. There are many of these things that you can try. I had tried most of them. I did yoga. I've done videos about stressful breathing and earthing and all different techniques to help alleviate stress. And I hit a point where none of it was working. and my body rebelled. And a couple of months ago, I'd say about towards the end of summer, August, things really, the hot flashes started to come back. That was number one. The tinnitus we've talked about before, that was also number one. And then the pinched nerve was causing this tingling sensation in my legs that would keep me awake all night. So I was battling insomnia caused by the tinnitus and the pinched nerve and hot flashes. I was a mess. A stressed out, anxious mess. Whenever you have these random symptoms that don't appear to be related, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? And then listen to your inner doctor, your intuition, your creator, that small voice that cuts through all the confusion to get to an answer. Because ultimately, we should be able to live in harmony with our bodies, no matter what your specific ailments may be. My body was trying to tell me that there was something that I wasn't giving it. I was eating right, exercising, but there was something that I was ignoring. It was that low-level, chronic, unrelenting stress and anxiety. Persistent stress that after a while just starts to feel normal. So I realized, or I had to admit, that the cause was situational. Now, when you're in that kind of a situation that is causing you stress, you've got two choices. You can either get yourself out of the situation or change yourself so that you respond differently to the stress triggers. And that is what I have had to do. That is what I have been doing over the last few months. In addition, I did a workshop with that same herbalist, Dana Lavoie, and this was more about using herbs to help retrain the body, to re-regulate the stress response, and to help the body, give the body what it needs to start building estrogen again. The first lesson in that workshop was all about really accepting the fact that when things are going wrong when you're in your body, the body is trying to tell you something. And if you can figure out what that is, you'll usually be on the path to getting an answer and to resolving some of the things that are causing you issues. So my body was telling me that I was not giving it what it needed to deal with stress, that I was not handling low-level stress, and the things that I was feeling anxious about are things that were not necessarily real. I was feeling anxious about things that haven't happened yet. And once I figured that out, because if you're feeling anxious about the future, you have to ask yourself, well, really the future that I see, is that really the way that things are going to go? Or could there be some changes? So right now I'm on an herbal protocol that is helping to not only lower stress levels, but also give the body what it needs to start building estrogen again. After the first 2 weeks, I noticed that I was running around like the Energizer Bunny. I mean, literally, it was like I had all this energy that came from nowhere. And I had a consultation. The program that I'm in includes weekly consultations with Dana, the herbalist that I'm working with. And I mentioned that to her, and that's when she actually explained to me that we all have energy reserves. It's like if you get sick and you fight off the flu or something, or go through any kind of treatment for a disease, as your body is fighting that off, your energy is being depleted. Your energy, you have reserves that can kick in to keep you going while you're fighting this off, but those reserves get depleted, and you have to build those back up. The way to do it is through nutrition, rest. It's all the things that we talk about in self-care. And if we don't do those things, getting enough sleep, which is always an issue with me, and keeping stress levels really low. So I had depleted my energy reserves. I had COVID last year, which didn't help. And so this year, I guess, found myself trying to, I wasn't like I was tired all the time. It was more, I could be sitting in an afternoon in front of the computer and think, you know what, I really need to get up and do laundry. But, nah, I just didn't do it. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I'm exhausted. It's just like I just didn't feel like doing much of anything. And so I have been using her herbal program that's customized for me, which is why I'm not giving you all the details of it. But it's basically designed to give the body what it's need to fill up those energy reserves. Additionally, I am using herbs to calm down and re-regulate the stress response so that as you're filling up your tank, the stress isn't depleting it again. Ultimately, the goal is to stop the hot flashes, and they are definitely resolving, is to stop the tinnitus, regulate or calm down the pinched nerve in my back that was causing all of these weird extremity sensations. So additionally, I have also added in a set of herbs that takes, once my energy reserves, my energy levels, and my body, my nutrient levels are back where they should be, this then sends those nutrients up to the scalp and in so doing nourishes the scalp and should start growing back the hair that I lost, especially the hair that I lost at the end of last year after COVID that never really came back. I would say that in the last 3 years since the pandemic, I have lost about 40% of my hair. I disguise it very well, but there it is. And I didn't think there was anything I could do about it, but looks like there is. So I am very excited to see where that journey is going to lead me. Because herbs are very powerful, they can interact with medications. What you need may not necessarily be what I needed. I'm not going to get into exactly what I'm taking and what I'm using. What I will say, if you want to know more about that, you can just email me at freerangediva@outlook.com, and I will talk to you, give you more specifics about how I'm actually doing this, dosing and things like that. But what I can say is that I feel the hot flashes are now, instead of coming every hour or so, I usually go the whole morning with nothing, no hot flashes at all. Later in the afternoon, I'll start with a warm flash, maybe here or there, and then after dinner, I will have a series of maybe 3 to 5 hot flashes. And this has improved from the hot flashes every hour to 2 hours all day long, which is where I was when I started. So that's an improvement. The tinnitus, when combined with the specific herbal blend that I'm taking, also addresses tinnitus. And so using that along with the Alarace, which I also talked about in another video, and I'll link that up there in the cards for you too. But the two of them gives me silence almost every day. And when I do hear ringing, there's usually a cause that I can trace it back to, like I ate something I shouldn't have, or I put something on my skin that I shouldn't have. So the tinnitus has gone from being really awful, loud all day long, to being quiet most of the time, or very, very mild when it's not quiet. I am now able to sleep regularly most nights, and by sleep I mean falling asleep at, when I go to half an hour after I lay down to go to bed, I'm usually asleep, and I can stay asleep and sleep 6, 7, 8 hours. So sleep is improved, tinnitus is improved, and combined with my physical therapy, my legs and my pinched nerve has also improved. Energy level is through the roof, and I feel like I'm on track. I will be evaluated at the end of, I'm at the end of a month right now, so it's time for my monthly evaluation. And then I'll do another one at the end of 3 months and see where we are and see what needs to be changed and adjusted. But this is what happens when you work with someone specifically on what's happening with you, instead of just pulling something off the internet that says, "Oh, drink this tea, you'll be better." It made sense for me to really try to address these issues, because honestly, I'm at the time of life where I shouldn't be having any of this. I should be past all of this and have comfortably adjusted into life after menopause. And that is the goal. That's where we're going to get to. So to wrap up, what I want to tell you is that if you think that there's no help out there, there is. Because that was my thinking. I was at the point of, well, this is just something I'm going to have to live with. I'm just going to have to learn how to deal with it, handle it, and just keep going. But if you ever find yourself feeling that way, ask yourself, seriously, is this really true? Because 99% of the time, it isn't. Thank you so much for watching today. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you won't miss my next one. If you have any thoughts, please share them in the comments. If anything that I talked about today sounds like you, share that in the comments too. What I'm finding is the more groups that I join and talk to about these things, the more that women out there that are dealing with exactly the same kind of issues. So we're not alone. We are sisters. We are all sisters. And if you live long enough, even if you're pre or perimenopause right now, eventually you're going to get where I am. At the age of 67, feeling pretty darn good. If you want more information about the program that I'm using, I will put that information in the description bar below so you can check it out, see if it's something that you might be interested in. Because aside from the fact that, yes, I pay for this, there is a lot of free information on the Menopause Made Easy. That's the name of Dana's website. There's a lot of free information. And of course, Dana has a YouTube channel, and there's a lot of free information there as well. So thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again very, very soon. And until I see you in my next video, wishing you a wonderful day, wonderful week. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.